So we're going to talk about pace bowling. I gave you the email address, tms@bbc.co.uk, WhatsApp 0330 123 1826. You can text, or you can even shout something at your smart speaker, as I was telling you earlier on. So lots of ways of getting in touch, and it's all down to you, really. And Santosh is going to kick us off, Woody. You never quite know what you're going to get here, and I've not shown you these.
Have we not gotten any sort of like life in the fast lane? I thought that's what we were...
Eagles?
Yeah, I thought...
No.
It just seems to have gone into it very fast, but that's fine.
Life in the fast lane.
Well, if we're getting into it fast, that would... Yeah,
I
fast
think
lane, yeah, of course.
Wasn't Geoffrey, one of Geoffrey Boycott's many autobiographies called Life in the Fast Lane? I think it was. Anyway, Santosh. It's quite good. I like this question. Is there competition between fast bowlers in a team to see who's bowling the fastest, like looking at the speed guns and so on?
I don't know, you'll have to ask the other lads when you're top of the tree. No, of course there is. Of course there is. 2019 World Cup, me and Joff, he would be at mid-off, or I would be bowling, and then he'd be like saying, I remember a couple of times he sent me, are you having a day off today? Are you not trying today? And then the next ball, I would get whacked for 4, but I didn't care. I would be looking at the scoreboard thinking, how quick is that? So I don't think that's maybe competition. It's more like friendly banter between each other, or it's not really talked about that much. I think sometimes, for example, Josh Tongue bowled 92 or 93 last game, and it's noticeable. You're like, wow, that was quick. So I think it's more an appreciation of each other's pace, I would say.
Yeah, that's nice. And he's all just G'ing each other up, actually, in a way.
Exactly.
Do you believe the speed guns? Have there been balls that you've bowled where you thought, that was quick? You look at it says 88.
I think it's more the other way around. There's balls where it said 93 or 94, and I think, I didn't feel as quick as that. But
we sit here. The 100-mile-an-hour ball, I commentated on that in Cape Town, but we're Showbacta.
Yeah.
And that just looked like a normal ball to me. Nick Knight just tucked it away to mid-wicket, didn't he? And he said he didn't feel like it was 100 miles an hour.
I think sometimes it does feel like that maybe ramped up in certain grounds or certain series or things like that. But there's days I definitely have felt like I've bowled quick and the speed gun has had high speeds, and you think, oh well, at least it feels like it's marrying up. You're not sure exactly how quick it is, but there's some days it leaves your hand, you're thinking, oh, that feels sharp. So
yes,
it's lovely when that happens and you look at the screen and there's...
It's a very thrilling thing, bowling fast, isn't it? I mean, I'm teasing. I wasn't as fast as you. I could bowl a lively ball. It's a great feeling to run in with a new ball and bowl fast, isn't it? And you feel the batsman being tentative.
Yeah, I think
and
it's more that...
They've got the wicket-keeper and the slips and it's a really dramatic, exciting experience.
It's that sort of like the key word you said there is like you feel free. That's how I feel when I bowl quickly, or when you feel like you bowl quickly, is that everything feels loose. You're not tense. You're not focused on field positions or anything. You just sort of like you have this lovely whippiness and like I guess like almost like a medieval catapult or something like that. There's something about it where you just feel like you could just let go of it. You've got all this surge of energy behind it, and it just boom, like a release of energy.
And it seems to me that there's two types. There's the muscular run-in bowl, Darren Gough type running with a ball.
Yeah.
And then there's the rhythm bowler who actually needs to bowl, and you need that rhythm from the run-up. And some days you can try and bowl as fast as you like, and it just doesn't come out right. And it's a difficult thing to define rhythm, isn't it? I mean, we know what it is when you play the game, but to try and explain it, it's kind of just when everything just seamlessly works without thinking about it. Your coordination is perfect, isn't it? So what do you think?
So I feel it all. The beginning of that, it all starts with the run-up. So basically, when I first had that short run-up, I always felt like I had to try and muscle it down when I wasn't in rhythm. But when you are in rhythm, and especially off the longer run-up, I felt it more, is that you can sort of feel like bouncy and light and...
sort of carried almost.
You're being dragged in at ease.
Yeah.
And then days where you haven't got that rhythm, it feels like you're heavy, you're searching for it, you're trying too hard. And no day, any fast bowler, I'll tell you, and you know yourself, Aggers, no day feels the same.
Yeah.
Can't today, and then I could bowl here and think, oh, that felt good, or this felt good. And the next day, something feels slightly different, or slightly off, or it might feel just as good, but it's something else that you're focused on. So no day feels the same, but when you're in rhythm, all those other little bits that you're noticing sort of fade away, and it's almost just like you see the stumps, you see where you're aiming for, and everything looks in a clear path, a bit like a I've described before on bowling fast as a bit like an anchor dropping into the sea, or a long runway for an aeroplane or a motorway. Everything, you just see a clear path of where you're running through, and it just feels.
Yeah.
I don't really want to say this because it's not what it is, but it almost feels easy. Not easy, but easier.
More effortless.
More effortless. Yeah.
And when you're running in and bowling, how many options have you got in your repertoire? You've got bouncer, you've got back of a length, you've got length, you've got full, like as in Yorker.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got one of maybe 4 or 5 options there in your head as you're walking back to your mark, and you've got outswinger.
Mm-hmm.
You do bowl on inner, don't you?
Well, like a nip-backer, yeah.
Nip-backer, and a wobble.
Trying that, I'm not great at it, but
right.
A nip-backer and then a heavy wobble. But I think when you mention them things, for me, like when I get back to the top of my mark, I know where I'm trying to aim, but as well as like in my back of my mind, it's like it could be tired or you could be under pressure. But the thing that goes through my mind when I'm about it is like sort of like, right, this ball is going to be a rocket. This is the one. If I could be 15 overs deep, I think this is the fastest ball of the day. This is the one. So you sort of like, as you're getting there on your turn, and then like maybe it's my dad or something who instilled these value in it, like you never ever give up. So like when I'm at my mark, it's like this next one. This is the one. This is the one that's going to be the quickest. This is the one. I'm going to try hard. I'm going to run in this ball, and my team needs us. And that kind of thing is what keeps me going and makes me to keep trying to bowl fast.
And is that ball likely to be a kind of a short of a length, the fizzer in your mind, or does the length not matter quite?
No, it does matter.
Distinct length.
It does matter, but because I'm shorter, I think, I've got maybe less margin for errors in some way, but then more in others, because when you bowl slightly quicker, you might have a bigger margin because people are maybe sat back a little bit more.
Yes.
But then you've got less of a margin because I'm shorter. So my natural length would be slightly shorter than, say, a Jofra, a Tungy, because they're tall guys. So mine would be slightly shorter to still hit the top of the stumps. But like you say, I do think it's a combination of, right, I'm trying to rev it up, but also you're trying to have that accuracy of what length am I trying to bowl. What is for example, the one that you keep talking to me about, the Headingley spell, it didn't feel to me like a bowled LBW pitch all the time. So it felt to me more like a nick-off pitch. So it was like sort of top of the stumps, almost maybe at times one day length where you look for the edge and then you go one a little bit fuller. Whereas there'll be some pitches that are a bit slower where you think LB bowled is the main mode of dismissal, and then the change-up is the bouncer or the one that's a bit further back. So you've just got to adjust to the wicket really and what it dictates.
Yeah, it's lovely. I'm asking all the questions at the moment, aren't I? So we move on. Ruth Brooksbank. I love talking fast bowling, though.
It's great, isn't it?
I mean, it's been...
I could talk about it all day. I love it.
Yeah, me too. It's just been my life. So Ruth is listening on the beach at Saltburn by the Sea. Where's Saltburn by the Sea?
Saltburn, is that Middlesbrough way?
Is that your way?
Yeah.
Is it? It could well be. If you could share the bowling with any of England's past greats, aside from Aggers, she says mischievously, who would you choose and why? What a good question, Ruth, that is.
It is a good question. What I will say is, before I give my answer, is I have shared it with 2 of England's greatest,
right,
and Broad and Anderson.
Oh, yes.
So, not to take it for granted, or I certainly don't, but I was very lucky to bowl with those 2 guys who are some of England's best ever. So, if I could personally choose who I would love to have had a go with, it would have been Darren Gough, like you mentioned before. When I grew up watching him, he was someone whose action I tried to do in the back garden. So I loved his character and his, the way he was as a player. So Darren Gough. Harmy was my hero growing up, obviously from Ashington, so I would love to have bowled with Harmy and his pomp and 2 Ashington lads together. That would have been an amazing thing. And then another England bowler who I genuinely think I would have loved to have just from watching highlights of himself would have been Bob Willis.
Oh, yes.
Steaming in that sort of wide-arced run-up.
Very tall.
I mean, if me and him bowled together, I mean, the bowling overrate might not have been great, but it would have been, great to be up close with him and pick his brain, because he did this sort of villain, didn't he, on the Sky Sports? Yes. And I was part of that when I first came along, and he'd be critical of me, but I got to meet him a couple of times behind the scenes. He plays that role, but behind the scenes, he's desperate for England. He was desperate for England to do well and for you to do well. And I think I would have loved to have bowled with him.
Yes, he sort of played. I think they called him a chainsaw, didn't they?
Yeah.
He sort of mowed everyone down.
Yeah.
But that was not the real Bob. What about? See, the problem with this question, Ruth, is that these bowlers, you're going to be fighting for the same end. That's the trouble, right? You're going to want to bowl
downwind.
Yes,
down
you
the
are.
hill, yeah.
That's going to cause a bit of a problem.
That's what I was saying to you off air as well. Like, someone like a Chris Woakes was a great foil for me. He's someone that I've really enjoyed bowling with. So if I think of people in the past, someone like a Hoggard might have been great for me to bowl with, and like we could have dovetailed really well.
What do you want? Do you want someone who's just accurate at the other end and giving nothing away, like sort of Glenn McGrath type person?
Well, I love bowling with Jimmy, for example, because Jimmy would, he would talk you through what he's doing at his end and what he's thinking. So I remember a famous spell that Jimmy bowled in Sri Lanka. So me and him were the only two seamers. And he set up, I think it was Dick Weller. It was honestly the best bit of bowling I've seen. So we were bowling together. I was bowling reverse swing. He was bowling with a 7-2 field, and he had two catchers in front of the bat. And someone like me, so I'm pushing him back. I'm trying to bowl quickly. I'm bowling bouncers. I'm trying to draw him into that one where he pushes outside the off stump. Jimmy, completely different feeling. So he's gone, right, I'm going to drag him forward. I'm going to try and get him caught with these guys in front. He says, I'm going to bowl dead straight, and then I'm going to throw one wide and slower, aim for them footholds. Honestly, work like clockwork. So 2 overs, just outside off stump, met him play. Slow and wide outside off stump, caught mid off. And I was like,
beautiful.
This bloke is a genius. But together, we worked well, as that he was keeping it tight. He had a clear plan. We were talking together about how I was working from my end, attacking. He was, setting this thing up at the other end. So I was keeping him back. And often when you bowl with people like that, so with the Woakes or with myself, so if he can keep it tight one, I can go attack. And it doesn't so much matter about the overrate, or he's setting them up a different way, or he's making them play a different way to how I would play. So it gets people out of their comfort zone and things like that. So I often do enjoy with someone like maybe a Hoggard. I could have dovetailed well with him.
Yeah, I think you would. Nice one. Rory in Putney. Well, actually, funnily enough, that sort of comes a bit off the back of that story, but are there any pitches or scenarios in which a proper, genuine pace bowler would lower his speed to try to get more out of the pitch? Have you ever done that? Yes,
only once have I done that, because I feel like my worth to the team, or what I bring to the team, is pace. That's my role in the team, is to go quickly. But there was a spell in Pakistan away where the pitch was really slow. I think it was Multan.
Oh yes.
And the ball was reversing. So I did an over at the opener. What was his name? Right-hander. It was a right-handed opener for Pakistan, and I talked to Stokes. I said, and I think Ollie Robinson was a bit on, and they said, why don't you bowl a couple of balls as if you're tired? So I bowled 2 balls as if I was tired at like 82, 83, and then I thought, right, this is the one, and I bowled it as quick, a Yorker as quick, and he dug it out. It was as fast as I could at I think it was 90 clicks. So I was like,
great plan, though.
As if I'm tired, and they're thinking, he's done. And all of a sudden, woof! I tried to get one through on those dorsal wickets. I didn't get it through, but that's probably the only time I've done that.
Yeah, it's a good plan.
Yeah, didn't work like
kidology. No, well, it almost worked. Would it? That'll do. Chris, listening from the beach, and everyone's on the beach. Torcross. Where's Torcross? I'm showing some ignorance here. I don't know many about these beaches. Where's Torcross? Don't know, but it sounds like
Torcross.
Tuffers won't know.
No.
So anyway, Chris is on the beach in Torcross. Can you ask Mark how fast he could bowl if he sacrificed all accuracy for pure speed? And can you explain the trade-off between speed and accuracy? And are you aiming for a spot the size of a dustbin lid? Actually, wheelie bins these days, Chris, but there you go. Or is it bigger or smaller? That kind of goes back to that question of talking about the lengths, isn't it? The options that you have in your mind. Mm-hmm. But first of all, if you just thought, and just ran in and just hurled the ball down as fast as you could, would you bowl faster? I guess the question is faster at just doing that, as opposed to if you just bowled, bowled into the pitch.
I think sometimes actually when you're warming up, or when you bowl slow, and there's, like when I'm coming back from injury now, you bowl at a stump and there's no batter there, you actually bowl less accurate.
Yes.
I think actually when you're full tick, or you've trained your body that way to get in those positions. Or certainly, if you're maybe at 90%, not 100%, but 90%, 95%, and you've trained your body to get in those positions. Actually, your body gets in a better position when you're full on, and when you've got the cue of a batter or where you're trying to aim for, or the field. Sometimes that can actually help. So I wouldn't necessarily think that I would bowl quicker if you just sacrifice everything. I mean, 2-3 years ago, I would never have thought that I would have got up to 97, which is what I got to last summer. So, I'm still trying to push that gun and see how far I can get. So, hopefully there's a little bit. I mean, if I sacrifice it all, could I maybe get 98? Maybe, but have to be a pretty strong breeze.
Yeah. It's hard bowling at cones and a single stump or whatever, isn't it? I mean, because you have...
Oh, sorry, and yes, the second bit was that, when you mentioned cones, it was that, yes. the accuracy thing, yeah. Sorry, you did mention that. The dustbin, I would say for me, it depends, because Jimmy would sometimes notice things on the pitch, and he'd say to us, right, can you see that mark or the follow-through on the pitch? And that's the area he would aim for. Wow. Whereas that's not, I cannot land it on a 10-pence piece like him. No. Mine's a sort of area of where I'm trying to bowl on top of the stumps, or like it might be fourth stump or fifth stump, or an area or a length. And then I determine on how the pitch is playing and what that length is to hit that area that I'm aiming for. I think it's quite important that I bowl a bouncer at some point early in my spell, so you get used to what length that is, or how the pitch is reacting, and also that hard length where you're hitting the top of the stumps. Is that slightly fuller today, or is it slightly shorter? That you've seen on pitches all around the country, somewhere like Old Trafford, which is generally a quicker pitch, you've got to be slightly fuller to hit the top of the stump. Somewhere like Lord's a bit slower, you could be maybe slightly shorter, something like that. So it just depends.
Torcross in Devon.
No, that's a long way from me.
But it sounds like a lovely beach. Good question. Thank you very much indeed for that. Mark Woods here. There are heavy rollers trundling off. Lunch is being taken, and they'll be out again in, 10 minutes or so. It's not very long lunch. It never feels we've been bowling. Anyway. Right. Good afternoon, Angus and Woody. This comes from Ian Lamerton and also Harry. My 9-year-old son, Harry, has been working hard on his bowling over the summer so far. This time last year, we were working on bowling from a standing position, just focusing. He's 9 years old.
Yep.
Focusing on keeping the arm straight, i.e. not throwing it.
Yep.
At the beginning of this summer, we moved to bowling off 3 steps.
Yep.
Learning a bit of line and length. Now we've moved on to seam and wrist position, and he bowled me twice in a net session on Tuesday with balls that moved into me. Brackets, it might say more about the standard of my batting. Okay. My question is regarding run-up. So Harry has now moved on to bowling off 7 paces. Mm-hmm. How do you work out the best length run-up? Is it just trial and error until you work out what works best? That's a really good question, that.
Well, I'd say firstly he's done the right thing in terms of like gradually building them back from standing and then moving back till you're comfortable. The next part of the run-up, I would say, is if the stumps is his mark, so he's facing back, so not down the wicket, you turn around and face back towards the grass or, the side screen. The stump is your mark, and then you just close your eyes and run back and bowl your action from there. And this is how I would do it when I was a kid, or how I would do it with the All-Stars, as I'm going back tomorrow to do some work at Ashton Cricket Club. I would start the young kids as at the stumps, run back with your eyes shut and bowl your natural ball, mark that cone where you've landed. Go back, close your eyes, start from the stumps, run in from the stumps, bowl, mark where you're... And what you'll do is you'll start to get an idea of roughly, maybe if you do 6 to 8 balls, of where they're landing and where they might do 2 here, 4 or 5 there and 1 there. And you think, oh, well, that 4 or 5 looks like that's the one where they're most comfortable. And then you say, right, this time, I want you to bowl with your eyes open and run back and just naturally bowl and see if they still land in that 4 or 5 coned area. Then mark that run up, turn them around, and you say, right, that's your mark. Hit that mark and run in and bowl from there. Yeah.
That's I like that. I think, I remember, actually, thanks. The way I did it was just through copying someone I've seen on the telly. In my case, fast bowler Peter Lever. Yeah. I copied his run-up. Yeah. I tried to copy his action. You said you tried to copy Darren Goff's action, didn't you? And actually, you can see glimpses of Goff's in your action. So maybe that's another thing too. If he's looking at somebody bowling, looking at Jofra or looking at whoever it may be, Cars or whatever, if you're trying to be that bowler in your mind, maybe that's a good starting point as well. You soon get the rhythm, don't you? You soon get the paces. The paces.
Well, the rhythm's the key, isn't it? You've got to get the paces right. Plus, your arms get used to running with the ball in your hand. Because it's totally different. Me telling you to sprint to run with the ball. So you've got to get used to all that as well. Do you try and hide the ball? I mean, that always got me with Jimmy. I never understood how he could run. Yeah, I can do it. I can do it to an extent, but then when I get into my sort of jump gather, I've got to have it in my hand. He could do it very late, whereas it's a bit late for me. Or sometimes I would watch like Wasim Akram. He would keep it in his hand, but he'd hide it with the other hand. So that's probably a little bit more natural. But you've got to get used to running in a certain way. You know how you mentioned before about me which England bowler would I like to have bowled with? What about you? If you could have had any of them, would you pick one of the modern bowlers, or would you?
What now?
Well, if you could have bowled with any England bowler,
that's a good question.
Past or present, who would that have been? Broad. Got a good relationship together.
We're good mates. We might have got a bit competition. We might have been a bit fierce out there. Because he's quite competitive, Stuart. Isn't he? He's coming on at tea time here, by the way.
Does someone come to mind straight away that you think of? Or?
I think I'd like. I don't know. I'm going to fudge your question slightly.
Yeah.
I'd love to have played under Ben Stokes as captain.
Right. Yeah.
So therefore, I'd like to bowl with him, I guess.
Yeah.
But I just love the way he leads the team. Yes, he could be stubborn. Yes, and all that stuff. But I think that kind of goes to the territory, doesn't it? Alistair Cook over there, he was also extremely stubborn. I think it goes to the territory.
Yeah, he didn't tell me. He bowled me in the wind all the time.
But I think I'd like to bowl with Ben. Martin Curtis is all about rhythm. I think we've sort of touched rhythm, Martin. I hope we've sort of helped a bit there. Saying about thousands of overs in club cricket. Sometimes it just didn't have that rhythm. How do I try and, well, he says he's now coaching, I try and convey what rhythm is to his charges, I suppose, when bowling. I mean, it's such a difficult thing to define, isn't it?
It's not overstriding. Again, we'll start at the run-up because that's where everything starts. It's not overstriding or running in too quick. It's sort of getting that sweet spot where you're not just jogging, but you're not sprinting and losing balance. You've got to have that momentum to get you to the crease, but then the ability to sort of gather your run up into your action. It's got to be that sort of nice pace where you can still be controlled when you jump in your jump gather. And the other thing for rhythm, I would say, is often if you try too hard or you muscle it down or you're trying to bowl too fast.
I think that's the thing.
I don't think it's not like you've got to think technically. I'm not a technical person myself where you think your arms have got to be here and your legs and your feet have got to be here. There's just that to a certain extent, but it's more the fact that you've got to be able to try and keep it simple and keep everything in a straight line. Remember, if something goes one way, there's got to be an opposite reaction. So if your arm pulls out quick to the left, then your right has to counterbalance it and all this kind of stuff. So I think rhythm is trying to keep it as simple as possible and be as controlled and gathered at the crease as you can. And as
relaxed as possible. Not trying too hard.
Loose, yeah.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. Now, here's an interesting one. Ian Forbes.
To help with that, it may be going away from, competition style thing. It might be a feel thing, so it could be like you could put a foam on top of the stumps, it could be a marker on the pitch, it could be swinging it around a stump, it could be we're working on what seam and wobble seam, and it takes your mind off trying too hard. It then becomes sort of focused based rather than you're just going to try and run in and bowl fast to get wickets. It's all of a sudden you're trying to learn something new or you're trying to do something really accurate, and it can take your mind off that.
I take that on board. Ian Forbes is listening in the pathology department of, and I hope I'm going to say this right, Fallon Hospital in Sweden.
I've probably been there for an operation, have I?
You might well have you ticked Sweden off yet. Have you had some of those operations where they inject strange stuff into your knee?
Yeah, I've had them all. Don't worry about them.
All sorts of strange concoctions, aren't
they?
Oh, well.
That's why I glow at night. I'm radioactive.
He said, when did the imaginary horse first appear? I've not seen the horse for a while. Is it still...
Yeah, it first appeared at Durham, actually. Me and Mark Stoneman, who was there, we were bored one day. And he was the Earl of Sunnyside, and I was the Duke of Ashington, and we charged each other on the field when we were bored. I think the opposition were about 500 for one at the time. That's where it started, and then obviously Mark Stoneman told a member of the media. The media got a hold of it before my England debut, and it became a thing. I took a catch here at Lord's. I think it was Tim Southey off the ball and Jimmy Anderson, and of course I did the horse celebration and got a bit of a cheer. But then it sort of became where every ground I went to around the country was, Mark, where's your horse? And after that I had to let it go, and that was it. I've put it in the stables, and that's it.
It stays in the stables.
It's gone forever now.
No, well, that's a bit of a shame.
Yeah.
Stephen Pickles. I saw this happening the other day, Stephen, and I don't know if that's the result of your question. I was watching the left arm quick for India.
Yep. Ashti?
Yes. Practicing something I'd never seen before, and that was he was bowling to a coach at a reasonable pace, and the coach was hitting back return catches at him.
Wow.
Which I hadn't seen that before.
I've never seen that, no.
I guess with T20 and so on, IPL. And
I've seen it with spin, like spinners practicing that, but I've never seen that with the seam bowler.
Quick bowler was doing it. He was saying, is there a routine for fast bowlers to catch balls off their own bowling? And
honestly,
I'd never seen it before.
No, I've never seen that before either. You
I
know,
don't know if it's a soft ball. I assume it's a soft ball.
Well, in modern cricket, especially T20 and stuff, sometimes you can expect them to. If you're aiming for a Yorker and you get it wrong, it's coming back at you pretty hard. So I sort of get why people might practice that, but no, I've never done that.
No, I say. But they were doing it the other day at Edgbaston. Oh, we've had an email from Ashington.
It's in Sussex, though. It's not the. It's the other Ashington.
I got you so excited.
I know.
Ashington, West Sussex. Morning, Angus and Woody, or afternoon actually. What are you thinking about on your run-up? Are you thinking about the ball you're about to bowl, or does your mind wander?
Sometimes my mind does wander.
If you've got a rubbish ball, your mind wanders.
And sometimes when the Barmy Army are singing my song, I'm up with the Barmy Army's tune, and it gives me a little bit of a kick for the next ball.
Is that right?
Yeah, shake it up, Woody, now. And as I'm on the turn, they do this thing where they're going,
They do. Build up.
So I deliberately try and slow it down until they give it the shake it up, and then I'm back in for the next one. So, yeah, I probably should admit that, because then the captain now is going to be like, run in and bowl this ball, don't listen to the crowd. So, yeah, sometimes I do, miss the odd, I let my mind wander the odd ball, but really it's, you think about what's gone well, or what you've done the previous ball, or what hasn't gone well, sometimes in my case, and then you're focused on the next.
Yeah, it is interesting. Right, we have here.
Have we had any via the technology yet?
Yes, an early one.
Nice.
Yeah, it's into the speaker. Clever, isn't it? Okay, Duncan, I like this question. It's some very good questions coming in. Well done, everyone. They're really good. There's so much in cricket about the intangible variables, especially the weather. Do you think things such as a few clouds overhead genuinely affect bowling, or has this just become institutionalised superstition? Good question.
That is a good question. What do you think?
I can't help but think that clouds and heavy atmosphere does.
There must be something in it, because it's been around for so long for people to say that.
Exactly.
There must be something in it. So I do think that. I think sometimes sometimes I do think it depends on the ball as well.
Yes.
If the ball goes out of shape, but sometimes you've got the most pristine ball and you think, why is this not swinging? And it must be the conditions. And then other times the ball, the conditions it shouldn't swing, and it does, and it just didn't quite marry up. So I think the ball does have something to play, but like a warm day, especially under cloud, is a swinging day. It does feel like that, humid.
I mean, today you would not expect the ball to swing today, would you?
Not around corners. I'd hope for a little bit of movement, but not around corners. No.
And equally, I always found on a cold, if there's a chilly wind, not that nice sort of cool, dampy sort of a wind, because that might swing. But
I know for a fact that England did work on this behind the scenes, analyst, and they did stuff at Loughborough about the ball and how it reacts into the wind, against the wind, how it swings and stuff like that. I can't remember the results exactly, but I remember that there is something about the ball swinging if you're bowling into the wind and the ball swinging more into the wind,
right?
And stuff like that.
Yeah,
it must be something to do with the.
But in a way, it's great that there isn't a definitive answer, because it's one of the things that we always talk about, isn't it?
Well,
like,
but that's what makes it great. The sport great, isn't it? The variables. So
yeah, absolutely. There was one here, Ben, an Aussie in Edinburgh. That's all right, Ben. We'll forgive you. Enough about bowling, Woody. How high up the order do you really think you should bat? I mean, those hook shots. I mean,
nah, man.
You destroyed Pat.
No,
you took him to the cleaners.
That's fear. That's fear that destroys him. It's not ability. That's just fear.
You obviously worked on it pretty hard, though.
No, I'm happy being down there. Honestly, I'm happy being down there. And when I was younger, I almost worked on my batting as if I wanted to become a proper batter. But the older I've gotten, especially under McCullum, he wants me to at times just try and change the momentum for the crowd, or get the crowd up for maybe try and get a few 4s or 6s away. And the more I've looked at it when I'm older, when I try and bat properly, there's times I've defended and just got out, and I think, well, why am I not just attacking or trying to get runs? And then I've also had my dad, who's a big one, for my granddad, who says, keep the ball in the bottom and you can never get caught. I'm like, thanks, Grandad. That's great advice. As they're throwing it at 90 mile an hour at me face.
Well, that's the thing.
Wish it was that easy. But yeah, my dad is someone that's quite critical of my batting, wants me to bat properly all the time. But I wish I could stick in there a little bit more. But it's been some knocks I've really enjoyed, especially lately.
Have you injured anybody badly? And it's a question, I certainly thought of that, because when I was playing, there were no helmets. I'm talking about kids playing at school when you're quick and you're up against kids who really aren't very good. I remember smashing a guy's nose and stuff, and you sort of feel horrible about it afterwards.
Yeah.
But these days there are more helmets than that, and I suspect everyone who's batted against you has worn a helmet, have they?
Yeah, and you think about the dog sticks that the coaches have. Batters now have all the equipment, so when our batter have chest guard, arm guard, all this stuff. So actually get used to facing quicker bowling and being protected by it. So I think people are tail enders or lower order players sometimes, or they've improved their batting a lot and they can stick it in there a little bit more.
We couldn't wear chest pads. We'd have been teased to death.
Yeah.
But if we got out there
now, otherwise it's seen as you're letting. If you get hit as a bowler, and you can't bowl because you've broke a rib or you've been hit, it's seen as letting the team down. So you've almost got to wear one now.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
I'd love to have worn one, but we'd have been teased.
Well, the little lad in
his... have walked out with a chest pad on in our day. You'd have been teased relentlessly when you would have been. The
little lad in his seat really loves it though, because I feel like it's like a suit of armour where I'm sort of like a knight going out there with my armour on and I'm going into battle. So the little lad in his sort of loves it.
Rupert in Welshpool, the last one, a professional number 11. Can you see fear in the rabbit's eyes as you approach the delivery crease? And if so, this does come from for a number 11. Do you feel big and clever?
Oh, no, you don't feel big and clever. No. Sometimes you can sense it though when you feel on top of people or you feel like there's that fear. I'm sure there's plenty of bowlers. I've seen that in my eyes when I've come out about as well. I mean, Wahab Riaz bowled a spell at me in Dubai. It was honestly so fast on Abu Dhabi, and it was a slow wicket, and my eyes were wide that day. Put it that way. So, it's certainly not nice when you've got to go out there and face fast bowling.
No, it's not. Woody, great company as ever. Thank you so much. You've certainly earned your lunch out of that. And thanks for all the questions. There were some really good questions there. Really good. Thank you very much indeed. That's good fun. That